that is very important. And this is what the Eastern wisdom awakens us to. Last time we discussed about dispassion. I think, yeah, dispassion and discernment. If we do not live with this discernment and dispassion, this life is going to offer millions of causes for suffering in life. Millions of. My master used to say that the love for everyone in the world depends on two factors when the love is unconditional. So, in fact, he used to say that love has two beautiful children. And if the love does not follow them, then nothing happens. The first son is the right knowledge. What is my relationship with you, your relationship with me? So at the intellectual level, we understand, oh, yeah, you are my honey and I'm your honey. Yes, that is okay. But the moment the word honey comes, I get attached. Then there is an emotional dependence. And the dependence, the moment we have an emotional dependence, the knowledge dries up and then we enter into suffering. It happens with everyone. And the master says that we met each other for a particular purpose to evolve. You evolve me and I evolve. So, in that process of evolution, the second son of the love is dispassion. In the state of dispassion, I work with you and you work with me. You are in relationship with me and I'm in your relationship. If the relationship is based on attachment, it is bound to create problem. Emotional dependence. It will definitely cause sorrow and the suffering. And if it is devoid of dispassion, take an example. You have a reservation against your honey. You wake up in the morning, hey honey, how are you? I had a couple here who invited me last year. In my presence, they want to build a relationship and they invited me that what is harmony and what is true love, and they had differences. So in my presence, they kiss each other minimum 15 to 20 times. I said, why I'm invited? You already love each other. John is shy. You see that this is a hypocrisy. Hypocrisy means I'm divided. I have a split personality. I have certain fears, and the fear causes the fear comes from the emotional dependence. If the knowledge and dispassion is not there, you do not love. It is purely an attachment. And if knowledge and dispassion is there, you have an unconditional love for the people. We talk of, I have an unconditional love. Let me check you. Let me check. Charlie is thinking, yes, it is better to think and contemplate. you will get rid of at least all the suffering pertaining to relationship in life. Relationship of any two people, more people have a relationship between father and son, between spouse and between parents. Absence of knowledge and dispassion, the love does not work. It is purely an attachment. I create an opinion about others in relationship. And that creates a duality and a conflict. Think, think, think. So when this knowledge and this passion is absent in any relationship, our master says that then we have three kinds of suffering in our life. Well, you always talk about suffering. No, I always talk about peace and happiness, love and wisdom. I gave you a side view, a rear view. We bring that rear view in front and we live our life. So, first kind of suffering is known as pertaining to the material world. Everything around us, excluding us. So everything around us is the material world. We suffer due to storm and tsunami, pollution, COVID. uh, that is not caused by uh, that is not personal, but that is outside. Second suffering is caused by, sometimes we meet with an accident, natural calamities. But what third kind of suffering is personal, it is related to I am. That is the major cause of our suffering. Tsunami, once in a year, and that suffering of emotional dependence always lives with us. You wake up, you have a problem. You are talking to someone, you have a problem. Just pay attention how beautiful the principles is. Personal means related to me and mine. I am stressed. Why? Because of you. You see, personal, related to me and mine. You made my life hell. Don't live in hell. Why you have been living? How simple it is. I was smart. We are understanding, John. Do you see that? Three kinds of suffering. So material and natural. Oh, leave that. Third is I would say severe kind of suffering than pollution, than COVID. We know the COVID is infecting me, so I go and take the vaccine, but I don't have any vaccine. I'm suffering 24 by 7. Emotional. Do you see? And that's why we miss being cheerful. We miss our smile. So when you say personal, related to I, me, and mine are the biggest suffering in our life. Whenever I is related to the world outside, to the people, to the objects, to the things, so I create an emotional suffering, I create an intellectual suffering, I create a physical suffering. All kinds of suffering lives in that thought, feeling, and emotion. Tell me if it is not true. Somebody did not appreciate you today in the party, you return home. I will not go to that party again. Terrible. Terrible party. No, you are terrible. You are not living in that dispassion and the noise. Emotional suffering, mental suffering, and physical suffering. So when we relate in our thought, feeling, and emotion to the world outside, I become body, then I have physical suffering. I become my emotion, then I have an emotional suffering. I become intellect, then I have an intellectual suffering. See, why I go to the party? I had one woman here. She has been with me for a couple of years. And I think, did I tell you about the Christmas? Her son invited him for a party. He has a very big house. Unnecessary. Do you see? Emotional suffering. What should I do? Do nothing, just sit in your house, enjoy. No, but if I don't want to go, if I go, then I will miss my own friends. I cannot invite them to his house. You see, confusion. Confusion comes because of emotional dependence. See, this is emotional dependence. Come on, it's a Christmas celebration. Celebrate the way you like. Get rid of that emotional suffering. We do not take decision. We cannot take decision. We become so weak. In the absence of dispassion, in the absence of right. What causes that is the reason causing unhappiness, insecurity. It decreases our happiness in our life. We don't remain cheerful. So we have to recognize what causes this unhappiness, dissatisfaction inside me. Is it because of lack of understanding, right knowledge, or it is because of emotional dependence? We should recognize the defects in our mind. These are the defects in our mind. I was looking at Discovery Channel last week. So the father lion made his two sons, who were 2 years old, run away from that group. Now you are independent. Get out. No more dependence. Have you seen that? After 2 years or 3 years, when the cub becomes young, adult, they are able to protect themselves. Take care of yourself. No, no, honey, I'm with you. I'm always with you. Come on. So you are digging hole for your suffering. Love gives an emotional freedom. Now, the love does not give the dependence. So, first thing, we should recognize these defects, weakness in our thought, in our speech, in our action. And then we should find out what causes happiness, what should increase my happiness, calmness, remove delusion. How it is possible that I should remain cheerful in all the times. I do not dictate I do not allow the mind to be dictated by the outer conditions. Situation is outside. People are outside. Relationship with a person is all definitely outside. Situation is outside. Situation should not influence my mind. Look at the teachings. When I look at the teachings, I feel, totally absorbed into that state of the calmness here. Nothing inside, that is mind, nothing outside can affect this mind. We should develop that state of the mind. That is why we talk of discernment and dispassion. That is why we talk of emotional freedom. No? Do you see that? So very important that now see, even if we go a little deeper, that we did talk about, and okay, I understand, I'm emotionally dependent. Then what should I do? Jump into the river. What should I do? No other option for you. You see that I become helpless. I do not recognize my dependence. I do not recognize the level of dispassion. I don't have dispassion. I live in ignorance. So, because of that emotional dependence, ignorance, when it continues in our life, days after days, huh, interacting with the people, living in relationship, getting upset, getting reaction, and then blaming, that I carry the burden of the entire world on my shoulder. What should I do? My honey doesn't love me. Why should they love you? You are crazy. They will not love you. Because in that expectation, you do not remain cheerful. Do you see that? Just see that. You have a burden on your head and the mind when you go to meet your friend. So now when these impressions continues in our mind again and again, it results into five kinds of suffering that we do not recognize in our life. First is this mind sticks like a glue to the body. The mind sits in the body. Mind gets obsessed with the body. And that obsession with the body, what is the result? Can you imagine? Fear of death. I come to your house, my body come to your house and you don't respect me. So obsessed with the body. I go to work, I perform well, but not others are doing well. I am less paid. Obsessed with the body. I can give you hundreds of examples. Do you see? Do you see that point? How the master explains. So when I am sitting, my mind is totally sitting in the body. It does not want to leave now. It does not want to leave. That results into the fear of death. The fear of death keeps hanging in your head. Whether you go to meet a person, whether you are meeting with a honey, talking to your honey, there are fear of death and conscious level always. Have you seen people? If there is a slight disturbance in their life, I will commit suicide. Do it. The earth will be lighter. So it comes from this factor. Abhinivesh. Abhinivesh. Abhinivesh is the fear of the death, grief. That grief also comes because I'm too much obsessed in the body. Identification with the body, that I am the body. We start living like a sheep. We follow blindly to the others. Defect is I am the body. This mind in ignorance does not have that level of discernment, and it says I am the body, and obviously you have a fear of death. second suffering comes from the likes and dislikes. Strong likes and dislikes. First, there is the likes and dislikes, and then it results into an attachment. Attachment means that I'm constantly thinking about the person. I'm not thinking about myself. I'm constantly thinking, feeling, imagining about others. This likes and dislikes causes a feeling in the mind of profit and loss. I will lose something in the business. Business means profit and loss. I heard millions of times from my master. One businessman uh, made a project and he projected an income of $1 million, but he got a benefit of $500,000. So he always talked about his business that he lost $500,000. So in attachment and detachment, we have that feeling. You see, I loved you, honey, so much, but you even did not care to look at me. Why they should look at you? You're not Miss Universe or Mr. Universe. Likes and dislikes. Attachment and detachment. You see how the mind is reacting? How the mind is constantly reacting? Come on. Do you see? Likes and dislikes. It causes a constant hesitation. If I have a profit, I have a loss. I have a pain, I have a pleasure. I have a loss, I have a gain. Love and hate. They are constantly working. This is not going to work in life. As long as you have, the mind continues with the likes and dislikes. It results into enmity. It results into hatred. Say, for example, person A doesn't like person B. So now the person A meets the person C. Person C also criticizes person B. You become friends with them. Likes and dislikes. I can give you hundreds of examples. I instantly pick up the problems. I said, oh, this is the problem. But I don't tell in the beginning. Once they undergo 10, 15 sessions, because if I tell them straight away, they will throw me out. Second problem. Rag, second problem comes because of likes and dislikes. Third problem. Unnecessarily, we boost our ego on small events and things in our life. Third problem is ego. Where is that ego? Fear of insult and expectation of praise and appreciation. Examine your social, personal, professional, family life last week. You will find 10 reasons where the ego has attacked you. I did not, no, he did not or she did not meet my expectation. I can tell you, everyone has this. Oh, I have a sense of pride. For what a pride I have? For what? It's a feeling, great feeling of that I am greater than others. So Bill Gates boasts of the wealth that I'm bigger by wealth. I'm bigger by having a bigger house. I'm bigger by the knowledge. I am big. How big you are? Are you big in weight, size, knowledge, position, recognition, ego. Their ego hurts. My own ego hurts. Why it hurts? Because I'm not getting an appreciation which I'm expecting from you. It is an emotional dependence. What I am, I am. Why should I expect? This ego works, I would say this ego works at all the levels, in all the relationship. Say if your honey talks of something about his family, and then your partner starts talking, come on, and that is nothing, what about my family? It comes naturally. Do you see it comes naturally? Now you are earning, but I'm beautiful. There's no connection. Do you see the connection? There is no connection. So when we are careful, extremely careful, simple, simple thing, I should not brag, I should not build my personality on anything that is outside. Finished. And the fifth, that I don't know my nature, that is the biggest problem. I don't know who am I. Look back, fear of death. Am I the body? No. Rag, likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment. Am I really emotion? No. Am I ego? No. Then who am I? The fourth level of problem is that I do not know who am I. That is why my mind makes me slip in these directions. Because I don't know who am I. There is no authenticity in me. There is no clarity in me. So that is known as there is a total misunderstanding about who am I, what is this world, and what is this existence. So that misunderstanding, wrong notion, I live with them. So when I live with them, then I continue to live in suffering. Last week, this girl from Europe, she has been with me. No, don't misunderstand. She has been with me means that she is doing lessons with me. So she was deeply attached to her mother, and her fiancé also lives with her in the same house owned by the mother. And she had been overly dependent on her mother. So every time her mother says something against her fiancé, so she used to get upset, she used to cry. I'm just making you understand what happens. So she is undergoing a group session with me Mondays and Thursdays. So last week she was telling me, last week, no, 2 weeks before, everyone was stunned. I think I told you something like that. She said, I realize after the meditation, I'm only 7-year-old girl. But because of emotional dependence, I assumed the role of a 78 years old. Because when you grow older, you continue to have a lot of unnecessary, unwanted thoughts. And today I realized that I should remain a 7-year-old like childlike. That very recognition is the knowledge. That knowledge is the dispassion. Today she was also there and she said, now I'm feeling very calm. Now I know how to respond to my mom. Not out of emotional dependence, but out of emotional freedom. It takes a journey. It's not easy to say. So to finalize this talk today, we need a right intellect. Right intellect that I am not the body, but with that body, I'm talking to you. So what should be a teacher and a seeker's relationship? I should stick to that. Not less than, not more than. Finished. With a honey, I assume the role. I perform my role. What is best I can do for you, not how many things I should expect from you. So, with that idea of an intellect in the mind, with that idea of a knowledge in the mind, you follow the right intellect. I used to go to my workplace. I was working with federal government in India for almost 26 years. I used to reach half an hour before the time, and I used to leave half an hour later. 26 years. People say this guy is crazy. Yes, I'm crazy. I did my work very well. No complaint to myself, not to anyone. Right intellect. Briefly, then we'll talk in detail. Rag and Dvesh, this attachment and detachment, I should develop a dispassion in the intellect. Right intellect to get out of the fear of death, dispassion intellect to get out of the emotional dependence and attachment and detachment. And the love for the existence. We should not live in the shell of our ego. We should open up, expand. So when we have that love for the existence, ego drops and dissolves. And then we should have a knowledge of the real self, the true nature of the real self, that removes the problem of ignorance, misunderstanding, and wrong notion. Life becomes beautiful. So let us start our journey. Eyes are closed and body is steady, mind is